Oh, sure. Oh, Ellie, good morning. How are you?
Good, Bob. How are you doing?
Baruch Hashem.
I have to fight some dragons this morning.
Oh, yeah?
What? Yeah.
Like Yaakov Avinu? Tzlacha. Morning, David. Ah, you're joining us this morning? Very nice. Huh? That's very good. Tzlacha. It's already 10:15, so we get started. Again, Kotzer, V'malochem Meruba, especially it's Hanukkah, Erev Hanukkah. Before we read it inside, I saw a beautiful thing in a sikha that I showed my brother. In Tov Shalom Test, that Rebbe said that the mitzvah of lighting the menorah is Mishet Teshok HaChama. The Gemara says Mishet Teshok HaChama, and Shkiyas HaChama is still day. It's still day. It's a chapella. Usually, anything that you need to do by night is done after Tzei Sakechavim. The Rebbe said, because it's done to the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash, the menorah has to be done by day. So therefore, also we do the menorah by day. Elamai shraga batira ma'ahani. When it's day, there's no light. So the light is not nikah from the menorah. Oh, so bazoi, let's do it b'shkiyas achama. The Rebbe said that year that that when you do miftzayim to influence another yid to menorah, to try to influence them to do it in the right time. They should do it b'shkiyas achama. After you want to do the mitzvah to the boy, that you do it mamash b'shkiyas achama. She influenced another yid to do a b'shkiyas achama mamash here. And yesterday my brother called me. He said, "Oh, you saw the gem video? The Rebbe is talking a whole thing about the chama. The chama is there, but it's the matzav of shkia that when you influence another yid, you should know that he's like a chama, even if it looks like he's in a matzav of shkia. He's here, but he's not shining. The whole." What's the Rebbe talking about? Because the Rebbe holds that it's very important to light mamash b'shkia. By Tzei Sakechavim, you can't say the sun is here. It's a matzah b'shkia. It's not here. The moon is here. Stars are here. Darkness is here. But shkia sachama b'shkia. There's still the sun. You don't see the sun, but it's not like it just dipped under the horizon. But it's not the pshat that it's not here. Anyway, that's what. So I just before we read inside, the Bemis is three shittas. Lapoil Chabad. Is to do mamash b'shkiyas achama. So it says the Gemara says do b'shkiyas achama. There's three lepoil in the poskim. There's three opinions. One is the way the Alter Rebbe and the Vilna Gaon hold. You do mamash b'shkiyas achama. Shkiya nearest when the sun dips under the horizon. Alter Rebbe holds it's 2 minutes later. You don't. So you could look. You don't need a Jewish calendar for this. You go to Rebbe Google. You say I'm 1703 Avenue J. Today is whatever December kach v'kach, and what time is shkiyas hachama? When is the sun set? Google doesn't know pilpulim tzei sakechavim. They don't know which kachavim you're talking about. We don't know which kachavim we're talking about, but shkiyas hachama is something they know. Elamai shkiyah, you add another 1 or 2 or 3 minutes because the Alter Rebbe says that's not from the horizon. They measure it. You would have been on a beach and the sun sets, and we measure it if you were gagging gavoyim shabi'ir, if you were standing on a gagavoya. So if you're standing on a gagavoya, you still see the sun setting for another 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, bottom line. Shkiyas achama. According to that, you daven mincha, you light it, b'shkiyas achama, you daven Maariv later. That's minik Chabad, and that's the way the Gura does it. That's the way the Mishnah runs it.
There's also that, right?
Yeah? Okay. The second, there's a second and third shitta. Now, in order to hold like the second and third shitta, you have to learn. It's a complicated. You have to start talking like the Rabbeinu Tam. The Rabbeinu Tam didn't believe that what we call the shkia, that when the sun dips under the horizon, that's shkia. He had a whole different formula, what people keep today called 72 minutes. They think they're following the Rabbeinu Tam. If they are, they're not, but they're trying. So for many years in Europe, the Yidden used to follow this mahalach. So there's a second shkia, and after that, so like like about 40 minutes after the sun sets, when Rebbe Google tells you the sun set. 40 minutes later is when they call Shkia, and about 25 minutes later, which they call 72 minutes, that's when, finally is Tzei Zakei Chavim. Now, in Chabad, they already had 3 cigarettes, nach Shabbos. He went to the pizza store, bought pizza, came back, Chanukah benched. Chabad, there's no such thing as 72 minutes. Who ever heard of 72 minutes? Chabad doesn't keep 72 minutes. So much.
We can keep Shabbos longer.
We try, based on Menachem Mendel, to keep it a little longer. But no one ever heard of 72 minutes. Why? Because the Alter Rebbe, that was the ungenomene thing in Eastern Europe and all around the world, because that's what it seems in the simple Shulchan Aruch, they should keep 72 minutes. And then the Alter Rebbe and the Gra came along and they said, that's Rabbeinu Tam, he made a big mistake. So me and you can't come along and say that for hundreds of years Jews are doing something some way. So this is one big mistake. Make Avdallah have a cigarette, no problem. To say that, you have to be the Alter Rebbe or the Vilna Gaon, and they both said it. So Mamela today is that, but there's still people that keep Rabbeinu Tam. If you hold in that world of Rabbeinu Tam, so there's the second shitta, which means the Shkar Kachama means the second shkia, not when the sun set, but that second shkia, and the other one is Tzei Zakei Chavim. And then you actually have a shaila, which we'll talk in a second, that since there's 2 things that came at one time, 2 chiyuvim. By Tzei Zakei Chavim, there's a chiyuv to daven Maariv and say RIshon, there's a chiyuv to light Menorah. Which one should you do first? For us, that we light it right away, b'shkiyas achama, you can't daven Maariv yet. There is, again, there's the first toises of Masechtas Brachas, the old minig that they used to daven Maariv early and say RIshon, but we don't do that. We're very makpid to daven Maariv in only after Tzei Zakei Chavim, and to say RIshon, that will be no question and no pulam about that we're saying RIshon bezmana. So therefore, for us, it's no question when we should do it. But it's a pellet that Rebbe said you should try to get Yidden to do it. And also Rebbe said, which is more obvious, that the Shabbos is very important to talk to Jews that are lighting Menorah, that are not yet Shemer Torah mitzvahs. There shouldn't be chas v'shalom that they light the candle on Shabbos itself. They have to know that they have to light it koydem shkiyas achama. But that's not a pellet that Rebbe said that we should, pay attention to that detail. But to pay attention to the detail, to do it miyad mishet teshoka achama, who cares so much? I'm just telling you, in Tov Shem Lamates, that Rebbe spoke a whole seich about it. Okay.
According to what you say,
yeah.
It's against coffee, water, or tea.
No, I don't want. Thank you.
It's against Rashi and Tosfot in Shabbat.
It's against a lot of Rishonim and Masechah Shabbos.
No. It's against Rashi.
And not Rashi is not simple. Rashi is not simple. I'm not learning now the sugya. We're gonna learn the sugya. I'm just telling you, we're gonna learn it. But when we get there, the Lepoil Shkiyat Acham, according to the Alter Rebbe and the Gra, is when Rebbe Google told you that. Why Google? Who else is gonna tell you? Who else is going to? I went to Har HaKarmel this year and I tried it. I went to the top of Har HaKarmel. I said, I'll get undressed and I'll run. The Gemara says you run and you dip in the ocean, you come back, you get dressed. And that's the Zman from Shkiyas Achama to Tzei Zakei Chavim.
Maybe you went in the morning.
Let's read. Simon Tafresh Ayim Beis, if I'll you can't do it earlier or later. If a person is told, they can do from Plaga Mincha before Shkia, it's an hour and a quarter every day. Is whatever. It's exactly an hour and a quarter. You have to put enough shemen that should be tichla regel min hashuk. The minhag Chabad is to put enough shemen and should light for 50 minutes. But Pashtus, the Rebbe says, again, the pshat, what I think the simple pshat in the Rebbe's words, is because that there's 3 shittas when you should start, and the endings, man, that Rambam Shulchan says is kamoy chatzi shah. So if you start b'shkia, okay, chatzi shah 30 minutes. But if you start at a later zman, So Kachatzi Shah is later, should go later. We want to accommodate full shittas, so we do oil 50 minutes. The truth is that 50 minutes doesn't mamash accommodate for all shittas. If you hold 72 minutes in simple formula, so you should put oil for 72 minutes or more. But Lapoil, anyway, Lapoil, the minute has to put enough oil, there should be 50 minutes, it should light. See, base.
You were talking about extending Shabbos?
No, I'm not talking about extending Shabbos.
Chabad just does the regular, Ashkenazi time. But we're supposed to be Hasidim. Some Hasidim, they're going in the extra.
The other way around. Chabad, until Chabad came along, everyone used to keep Shabbos night at least 72 minutes.
Oh,
The Alter Rebbe came along and said that you don't have to do it that long, and it doesn't work that way. And there's a different system. And I don't want to talk about it tonight. I just want to.
got you.
Okay. I don't want to talk about it today because we'll get till the night and we'll still talk about it. Let's continue. Siv Beis. Person didn't light right away b'shkis hachama. You see the Lashon Shechanarach. Shochicha hazit. That means that it's a bad thing. He forgot, or bizadan. He didn't do the adloka b'amash b'shkia. Madlik v'hoylach ad shetich l'regel min hashuk. He could continue lighting until the Zman, the Gemara calls tich l'regel min hashuk. There's no more people in the shuk. Shekamoy chatzishas, around about a half hour. Shaz am over in v'shaman v'ik pesum and the still pesum and hilkach tzar lut m'shaman kazeh ashir. You have to put that much shemen, which is about a half hour shemen. Again, Shulchan Aruch is a half hour. We do 50 minutes because Shulchan Aruch thought that he knew, or he thought, you know what he thought, but we don't know what Shulchan Aruch meant, Shkiyas Achama. But whatever Shulchan Aruch meant, Shkiyas Achama, the Magen Avraham says Tzeisek Echavim. So, okay, so then they have a half hour. That's why we put 50 minutes. If you put more oil after half hour, you could put
half
out
an hour is the minimum, but we do extra.
Yeah, because we want to accommodate for all opinions.
Okay.
50 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why when you buy those menorahs, they already have the oil inside. You have to see what they say, how much time it's going to light. There's another opinion in the RIshon that says the Bisman Hazeh, the Pesum Anissa is not happening to the people in the Shuk. So therefore, you could light even later. B'di'evet, as we're going to say in the end of the sif, we're going to follow this opinion. It's good to be nizer that no, you should do it right away b'shkis hachama, and loy ma'achin lo makdimin. You shouldn't do it earlier, you shouldn't do it later. You shouldn't say, what does it mean a whole night? Only if you're b'nei bayis is. So the Bisman Hazeh, the Pesum Anissa is not for the people in the street, it's for the Bnei Bayis. You know, the Rebbe Rashav was makbid, only the Bnei Bayis should be there. Today, the Pesum Anissa is for the Bnei Bayis, fine. But if everyone's asleep, other shit to say once Chatzos, even if they're up, it's not going to help. So, L'chatchilu should try to do it at least before Chatzos, and the people in the family should be up. And the Ovad, Magen says, as long as it's not a Loitza Shachar and the people in the family are up, then you can make the bracha. Or you can wake them up, and then they can make the bracha.
So the main thing is for the Malabayas. If you can include everyone else, great. If not, do it before.
Well, it's not just great. The older poskim, Simon Avraham says you should be makabetz. It's called bnei abayis. At minimum, there used to be so many of the people in the street. Minimum, at least get the whole family together and make a big deal that the whole family. There should be the Pesum today is really the mefzoim that we do is for the family. Amol megetan mefzoim with the mention of the gas. Today we have to do mefzoim with the family. So
also in ourselves in our day and age.
Right.
I think we're included also.
They could rely on the street.
So a person's alone, so then he has a problem because it has to be at least that there is some type of. This is if a person is doing it bisman, there's no shaila. There's no shaila. The only shaila is after the zman was over. Right. And we're saying that those RIshon, we're following the other RIshon. Most RIshonim didn't mention it. Why? Because, whatever tacham, usually we go with the thought that whatever chama made a takona, afal pisha botla tam, loy botla takona. Chama made, should do b'shakachama, atchitich l'regel mashuk. Whatever shkiyas achama means, one of the three opinions, and then you get about a half hour. Lachatchila, the best thing is to do it, ziriza magdim l'mitzvah, do it right away. So you're doing the full 30 minutes of Pesum Anissa, but as long as you get 60 seconds of Pesum Anissa, you're done. After that, the half hour is over, finished. Can't do the mitzvah anymore.
Yeah, the Rebbe is like
because now people are out until at least midnight.
So that's also a thing that you could say that because that when it says K'moi Chatzi Shah is talking in a place where K'moi Chatzi Shah is when the people are not out in the street. But in a place like New York, people are out and about for many hours, even more than a Chatzi Shah. That's also true. Okay. Okay, let's go to the three shilas.
But the Rebbe, they like late. They're not 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. After Maariv.
Like he said, okay, and one of they're so it's a pella bemis. Okay, well, let's talk about now the three shilas. Let's talk about the three shilas.
Also, each shliach is like a menorah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were already lit up. So you see what I'm saying?
Right here.
Does anybody talk about that?
Let's first talk about the shilas that we have here in hand.
Okay.
Someone asked me, Aunt Gussie is making a Hanukkah party in Riverdale, 5 o'clock. By the way, the Rebbe says that Erev Chanukah is different than any other Erev Yom Tov. Because every Erev Yom Tov, if you make the Sefes Yom Tov, you have. But Chanukah, the mitzvah of lighting the menorah is today. Mishat Shokah Chama, the way Chabad is, it's still light outside. It's 4:31 today. We're lighting the menorah. It's okay. So Aunt Gussie is making a Hanukkah party in Riverdale, and she's getting the food. She's getting the food from a kosher deli. The thing is that what time should he light the menorah? How does it work? What time should he light the menorah? That's his question.
So coming to the
1 second. Let's go to Aunt Gussie. Aunt Gussie is making a party, and he wants to know what to do. So, a very important thing. I think. Yeah, but I see in every yeshiva that I'm in. I've been in many yeshivas. I'm not talking Chabad yeshivas. I'm very makbid in them Chabad yeshivas. I see the oilam as it's this Eshkiyas HaChamim. I understand the din is there's every mitzvah that has a zman kavua. From that time, from that mitzvah, you're not allowed to learn. You're not allowed to eat anything. A half hour before, you're not allowed to learn. You're not allowed to eat anything. I don't understand Bachlal how there could be a thought that you're allowed to go to a Hanukkah party and eat before you did the Adlokas Neda Samanoida. I mean, I'll talk about it now, and I saw there at Mekilim, but it doesn't add up to Hela beans. This is Kashu Gvova. It's mamish. It's something I think just people don't realize. I think people Pasha don't realize. There's no heter in the world to go to a Hanukkah party before you light the menorah and sit and eat there. There's no heter in the world. So
we're wishing about 30 minutes before.
So
all time bal mitzvahs.
Yes, let's read it inside.
Okay.
Let's read it. Tshuva, Kosev Abach.
Which number is this?
This is Aleph.
Okay.
Usually we work really hard to be makel here, but I just first have to present before we go to the kulas. We have to talk about what the din is. The Bach writes, Posak. He brings from the Marshal. Apsak. Nida. Tafila lumud osam shagiyas man adlokas nedis. You're not allowed to learn. Shema yitre belemod avishkach malad. Kedim betikas chometz liyu. All the poskim, the Tur, the RIshon all say that a half hour before the Zman of Bedikas Chometz, you're not allowed to learn or eat anything. Ein Sham, afile hischilum mit poisek madlik nedis ukemoishe kavati haloch l'sham. All the details from there says the Bach will apply over here. Be'ef shadaf l'Rabbeinu Yoin that the mekel b'chometz, and could be there's a Rabbeinu Yoin that's mekel. But moide b'ner Chanukah the tzorich lahafsik. Why? The alachad lishna im yaver azman the regel min hashuk shuv ein madlik. According to one mahalach, once there's kal yerigla the tarmudoi, that's it. You can't be madlik anymore. Dim kein havelay mitzvah oiveres upshita the tzorich lahafsik at kan apsak. He says when you're talking about bedikas chometz, Alter Rebbe has a hard time. What's so terrible? Bedikas chometz is a whole night. Alter Rebbe is machadish that there's two mitzvahs in bedikas chometz. The mitzvah in bedikas chometz and bedikas chometz b'zman. And if you're going to do it even a few minutes late, you're an avarian. You missed the mitzvah of bedikas chometz b'zman. Okay? So, but here it's worse. According to Chad Shita, which is not Stam Chad Shita, that's the pashtus of many Rishonim, is that once it's Kal Yerigla the Tarmudoi, it's over. You can't do the mitzvah anymore. So this is so ma doch the RIshon and L'Poel Paskin that lagabe b'dikas chametz that from the zman and a half hour before you're not allowed to eat or learn. Kol shekain lagabe ner Chanukah. That's what the Bach says. And L'Poel the Magen Avraham brings him as a psak halacha, and also the Mishnah Brura brings it l'psak halacha. It's very hard to start arguing when all the poskim that mipiyam monochaim bring it as a posh psak and don't argue about this. Of course, we don't have the Alter Rebbe and Hilchas Chanukah, so that's why we wouldn't know what the Alter Rebbe would hold. But it's hard to imagine Alter Rebbe would argue. Mishnah Brura has a whole thing. What does it mean? It's also to eat first. He says it maybe means that you could eat supper really early. You could eat supper 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So he says, no, toiv to make that the supper should be after Chanukah candles. Bottom line is, Rashal Kosa, da fila lilmud osa mishegiya zmana vafila hischil poisik mishkosa besimen tofla medalach se beis lagabe b'dikas chametz v'chein posik abach like the Marshal, plain and simple. Machza shekel, and the old Mishnah brings this. Kosav lahutzach lahasker chatz shokoidem ki ma'ide v'mi shelo yispal ma'ide v'yefsher the osir balavochi mishum krishma. He didn't have to mention a half hour before because the Magen Avraham holds that the zman is v'tzeisek echavim. Tzeisek echavim is man you have to start saying krishma a half hour before krishma. You're not allowed to learn or eat anyway because of ma'ide and krishma. So that's it. Okay, again. So look in the Hilchos Pesach, the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe writes, this is an important line. It's a ksav yad from the Alter Rebbe that they have in the bottom. Te'ima is muter. What is te'ima? So if you look in the Mishnah Brura, lagabe, this sugya is not only lagabe Pesach, it's also lagabe Purim. And for some reason, Purim, everyone keeps it. Purim, it's the same. We're fasting a whole day. It's very difficult to keep this din. And we say, you can't break your fast. There's a mitzvah to hear the Megillah, and just like B'dikas Chametz. But everyone the person say big deal, but you could do te'ima. No, it's better not to do te'ima. The Rekeach says that Chassidim RIshonim, that mitzvah chaviva aleim, they did it once a year, so they didn't eat or drink anything before they did the mitzvah. Taka Chabad keeps it to the T. The Welt is a pella. The Welt, when it comes to Purim, they don't eat until after the Megillah. But when it comes to Petkiya Shoifer, Machman HaKiddush, zwischen Shachris and Musaf. So what? But it's the same Rekeach, Monavshech. You keep it or you don't keep it. Okay, appel. Chabad L'Poel does keep it. The Chabad doesn't eat or drink anything before a mitzvah that's only once a year, twice a year. Mitzvah chaviva. So therefore, we don't eat or drink anything before we hear the Megillah, even though we're hungry and we fasted a whole day. We also don't eat or drink anything before Shofar. It's very difficult. It's a mini Yom Kippur, really. But by the time you get home, here in Beis Menachem we're makel for drinking. I mean, not for myself. I'm saying anyone that wants the policy in the shul. But L'Poel for Lubavitcher that keeps it to the T. Your Rosh Hashanah is almost as like Yom Kippur. By the time you get home and you break your fast is about 3:30, 4 o'clock. So on Yom Kippur you get home and you break your fast at 6:30. You're so spiritual. Why would you want to eat? I'm just saying that's still the point. Anyway, so Kol Sheken V'Kal HaChomer for Lubavitcher. When it's Rosh Hashanah, Stoch Gefas, B'Sfira Zeger, you didn't eat. Why? Because you have to do the Tkiyah Shofar. And when it comes to Purim, and it was hard to fast that extra hour and a half. It's very hard that when you're fasting and to hear that's everyone, I don't know, some people say they're easy fasters. It's hard to fast an extra hour and a half. So, but Hanukkah, people don't realize it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. So the emes is that you could be mekel. If you ignore that rekeach, you could be mekel. Te'ima. What's te'ima? You can eat fruits, you can drink, or eat bread less than a kabetza, and by cake there's a whole discussion. Maybe you could eat cake more than a kabetza, maybe not. For sure, if you're going to a Hanukkah party and you eat so much cake that there's a shayla, you're going to have to make birchas hamazon. So it's not going to help that you ate cake. Okay, so let's finish reading up here. In Pasuk Mishnah Berurah, Afila Lilmud Osam Mishagi Zman of a Kol Shken Achila, V'Shar Dvarim Afila Hischil Poisek. That's the Mishnah Berurah Paskins that way. So, the Shev Yaakov writes, is a Choshev Poisek. He lived in the time of the Baal Shem Tov, he was a Rabbi in Prague. And I'm going to go through line by line this tshuva if we have time to slug up every single line. I'm surprised to find the tshuva that is slug upable in every line. But Lepoil, he taka holds. He says none of the Rishonim mentioned this isur of not eating before Ner Hanukkah. I don't hear what the time is. They didn't mention it because they thought it's so poshut. And the bottom line is the Mashal said it's asur, and the Bach passed in the way, and the Magen Avraham passed in the way, and Mishnah Berurah passed in the way. Everything else in the Shulchan Aruch goes that way. The Shulchan Aruch passed in that way. Okay, there are a few nakudas where you could be makel. Okay. So, but I think people stretch it a little too much. Number one, if you can have a shomer, remind you. So here's a good shaila. Could you say, Google, remind me to light the menorah at 7:00 after the party? Could you do that? So there's two problems here. Number one, the inyan of putting a shomer that the Alter Rebbe brings in Lagabe B'dikas Chametz is in the half hour before the Zman. It's not clear that you could put a shomer to go after the Zman. Number two, I just want to read through the Alter Rebbe's Lashon and a chidush in a tshuva that my uncle, I have an uncle, Zakrona Lebracha, in Mordechai Belano. Let's just read it here. Imu Yoshev Aloymet Koydem Tzeis HaKirchavim. Daim Lechavedi Shein Aloymet Shagi Zman Abedika Yasker Oisav Yavsek Melimudoi. Hadei Zemuter. Af Imhu Toy Chatzi Shol Lefnei Tzeis HaKirchavim. The Alter Rebbe has the Akuntas Achron to say that it's not only when Yoshev Aloymed, but even with Dvar Shus. He brings a chidush and a raya. This applies even with Dvar Shus. So, but my uncle writes, he said, it's very, the conditions here are very strong. It has to be a chava she'enei loymed. So in our case, if you're in a party, if the other guy is also part of the party, I'm not sure that applies. And the chava has to be v'yaf sikay milimudei. Google can't put his hand on your sefer and stop you learning. Chaver, you could tell him, make sure that I stop learning, and don't just tell me. Taka be mafsik me. The Alter Rebbe adds two words v'yaf sikay milimudei. I'm not. If you agree with me, Uncle Zdik, don't. But anyway, there's other issues here, which is that the whole thing of putting a shomer is that shomer is she'enoi loymed. So if he's with you with the party, if you're both learning or you're both in a party, it's tachnish help. And could be that only helps in that half hour. And could be that the Google is helping. So I don't see how the shomer is so much hatzol over here. There's a kula for women. I'd say women are yotza through their husbands. So therefore, there's a svara to be made. Yeah, I mean, Lepoil, she's yotza through her husband. Her husband didn't do it yet. I don't know. I'm parakeeting these things from Harav Broin's book, so I'm not comfortable with it. But I'll tell you one thing that I do think is a kula, which I don't see anyone say, but I think it's obvious. People have a job, yeah, and they have to pay the bills. They have to pay the bills. So here I hear something. I can't take off. I'm working in Manhattan. I work till 5:00. I get on the train. I get home 6:00. It's hard enough for me to get off for the first 2 days of Sukkot, the last 2 days of this. I come out nicht geblieben with vacation days. Now you want me to take off Hanukkah? I might as well lose my job.
Leave earlier.
Leave earlier. What's if the balabas doesn't let?
Yeah.
What's if the balabas doesn't let? So here I would say, okay. So I would say, okay, so let's go like the shita. Let's put together. Let's put together a few things. There is a shita. Maybe the reason why, but it's not clear. Maybe the reason why the Bach and the Mashal and the Shulchan Aruch said that you're not allowed to eat is because they thought that there was a very small zman. If they would have held like the opinion that it's a whole night, they would say it's nicht gefährlich. So now it could be maple and say, look, what should a person do? He should lose his job over it. So you know what? Let him, and he's on the train and he's starving. He wants to eat something. So the emphasis is still he should eat less than kabetza. But I'd say to be machmer more than that. Okay, it's you could say we'll be makel. Say that Lakula. The only reason I would be makel is someone that has a job. He's on a job. So and it's very hard to every day in Hanukkah to take off at 3:00. He's in the Bronx. He's on a job. What's he going to do? For 8 days of Hanukkah? It's very schwer. So, and then he's in the car. But he can't. What, we should take a light? He should drive and land in jail. He's not going to land at home with the Hanukkah Menorah. So what should he do? He drives under the speed limit. So the Weile, he wants to have a coffee in a Danish. If he could eat less than Tima or not eat altogether, it'll give him beser. But to be makel in order not to take off early, that's the only thing I could hear. But in order to go to a Hanukkah party, I don't see. Or you can go to Hanukkah. First of all, you have to be madlik. If you're going to come home and be madlik after the Zman, so according to many shittas, you miss the mitzvah. Okay, so we're knowing to be makel, we make a bracha. Are you going to go to a party? What are you going to eat at the party? You're not supposed to eat when you're at the party. You're only allowed to eat at Tima, less than a kabetza. So I don't see how you can make the Taz brings in Simon Tov Reish Ayin Zayin. He says, the Shulchan says that the place you light the menorah is the place you eat, not the place you sleep. So he says he sees a big mistake Balavata make. They're going to their friend for a Hanukkah party. The Hanukkah party doesn't start today. They already had in the days of the Taz in Krakow already 400 years ago. So Hanukkah parties. So it already came the Zman to light the candles. It's hard for us to imagine that. What do you mean? They came to Hanukkah party. When do you go? At 1 o'clock in the afternoon. In Europe, sun sets later.
Some people
make it early on a Sunday. Yeah. Oh, at 1 o'clock, 12:30. Okay. No, that's good. 12:30 is good because you can finish by 4 o'clock.
Right.
So, but it comes the time of that locker, and they're still middle of the party. So they send their children to go home, and they bring the candles in the menorah, and they light it here. They say there's the makam achila. Taz says no, that's a big mistake. It's the second Taz Reish Ayin Zayin. It's a big mistake. He says, well, it has to be in the place you live. Plus, not stop that you live, but you also eat there. 2-3 hours you ate in your friend's house. That doesn't cut it. He says, the only thing you could do if you want to continue sitting at the party, send one of you b'nei bayis home. That person, you send your son home. He should light the menorah at home. Thinks it's such a thing. Home, the families will get together. We could light the menorah. The Taz is off the wall. But Taz does not. You want to eat? Or you want to be a yid? So to light the menorah here, he says 2-3 hours you here. That's not called your house. Your house is over there. You want to eat, so send your son home to light the menorah. Again,
if you're on vacation.
So if you're sleeping even one night, it's mashma from he says, like if you go to your father-in-law's house and you're sleeping there the night, they say just because you're having the party there and you eat there for 2-3 hours, that doesn't become your house.
What about becoming a foreigner by giving them a quarter to Balabai?
But that doesn't help because you still have a house. That it's the chiyuv is on that house. You still have a house. Shiva Bochum is different. We'll talk in a minute about Shiva.
But a few nights you go to Disney World for a week, and
that's your house. That's your house. Even if you went for a day,
okay. So
you can afford to go for a week.
Not me, but some people.
You should have been able to afford to go for a month.
But
so then it's your house. Then it's your house. If you're sleeping there at night, you're eating there, then that's mamish your house. Okay. Then it's your house.
If it's free or you pay, it doesn't matter. That's your home.
Yeah.
That's your residence for the night.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Anyway, I was going to say a quick thing that does it go also by you say something where you're eating. Does it go by where you're sleeping?
Yes, I said that. The Taz says if you're sleeping there the night, so that's your house. Now that's your house. But if you're going to go that night back to your house to sleep, so the chiv is on your house. Right. So there's no way to wiggle out of it. There's no way to wiggle out of it.
So it's really both. It could be both. We're eating and sleeping.
Yes, both. Exactly. And so that's what the Taz says. Yeah.
By the way, you're saying we should eat a kabetza of any food or just of the bread?
No, so some say it's bread and some say it also applies to cake. So
you can eat a steak as meal.
Yeah.
Right before you get it.
But
10 minutes before.
Yeah. Well, before, I mean, the best thing really is when you have Hanukkah, Sundays people are not working. The best time to make a Hanukkah party really is Sunday, 12 o'clock. That's the best time to make. Or any evening after the Zman. The Zman is early. It's 4:30.
Yeah.
So why do you have to make the, if Aunt Gussie will make it instead of 5 o'clock, 5:30, so he could light the menorah here at 4:30. Taka minute chabaz sit at the candles for half hour. Whatever, light the candle and go.
Or you come a little late to the party.
We come a little late to the party.
Watch the candles for a half hour.
Right. It's like that of Shabbos. Okay, but the Mokim Shei Efsher, I would say it's wacky for Lubavitcher to say, look, I have to go to the party. It's very important, whatever, I have to go. I could leave 4:32. You have to sit for a half hour in the Menorah. You know what? I'll go to the party. We'll come home. I'll put on my gartel and I'll light and I'll sit there for 2 hours. It's not you know, you could do it if you could sit there extra half hours of Gewaldig. If you're in a rush, so light it and then don't sit there half hour. Have a shliach sit for you or whatever. Okay. Let's go to the next shayla very quick.
We do at least 30 minutes in this one.
Yes, the minhag Chabad besides Erev Shabbos is, bottom line is that you daven mincha, 4:30. This year, some days are going to be 4:31, then 4:32. So you look at the count. It's changes in the middle of Hanukkah by a minute to 2 minutes. It gets a little later.
Daven early mincha.
Yes, and then 4:31 or 4:32 or 4:33.
And what's the latest that we have to get the mitzvah according to most?
The latest is till Alois HaShachar, as long as your wife is up.
Oh, okay. So even you do at 5:30, you come home, whatever.
Okay, As I said, I don't think a person should play if he has a job and he has again. But
and better to daven yechid or to daven with a minyan and be a few minutes late.
What?
Mincha, let's say there's only one minyan where you live, and
mincha you have to daven already before Shkiyas Achama. What's the shaila?
Okay.
The shaila is going to be Maariv, which we'll talk about this second. Okay. Let's look at the last piece. Shaila. Hey, Mispalel Maariv lifnei neiris Chanukah. Tshuva. Okay, let's read. The Mogavam writes, "Nira lead the Mishalo Ispal Maariv Madle Koidem Dein Tzorich Zman Kolkach Velak Lamech Hashem Yishkach Maariv. V'chein Kosav V'Knes Agdoil Shunoi Kein." Very funny words. What he's saying. Again, read it again. If you didn't have a Maariv, do the Ner Chanukah first. Why? Because Ner Chanukah doesn't take so much time. Chinese. We know there's a golden rule that Toda v'sheine Toda koidem, the Reisa the Rabbanon, the Reisa koidem. If right now it's Seisa Kechom, if it's Seisa Kechom, it's as man of davening Maariv. So you have we always have the tiebreaker is Toda v'sheine Toda. It's Seisa Kechom. You have to daven Maariv. You didn't like it the Menorah. So l'choida it's a davar pashut. The davening Maariv is a mitzvah the Reisa Krishma. Plus there's a mitzvah that Rabbanon to daven. And that is Todir, plus it's a Deraisa, should take precedence of a Chanukah. What are you saying? Because the Menorah only takes a short span. It's Chinese. I'll tell you what the Pshat is. The Pshat is Pashut. I'll skip to the next line. Kotsa v'shulchan aruch Rabbeinu, Simareish Lamed Aleph Zayin. The Alter Rebbe writes, Misha Rogelis, by talking about B'dikas Chametz. Misha Rogelis Pal Kol Hashonim Atzivim Avoid Yom. Ve'achshav Lo Yispal Alimohim. Usually davens with a minion. Today he didn't daven with a minion. Yikra Krishma Vispal Miyad B'tzeis HaKechavim. Ve'ach Kach Yivdik. The Kimishene Rogel Kol Hashona Vispal Al-Arvid Beveso. Yesh Loch Ulshema Al Yedei Tirdos Vishtad Lusa B'dikas Chametz. Yishkach Al Krishma Tfila. He says, the Alter Rebbe says if it says Sakachavim and you didn't yet start B'dikas Chametz, whatever it happens, you didn't yet start B'dikas Chametz. So a person is going to say, what should I do? Krishma or B'dikas Chametz? Todir is Krishma and it's the Reisa. B'dikas Chametz is Eine Todir Derabon. No, you have to do B'dikas Chametz first. Why does the Alter Rebbe says you have to do B'dikas Chametz first? As I mentioned before, the Alter Rebbe is Machadash, besides the mitzvah B'dikas Chametz, but there's a small window of time that then you did mitzvahs to B'dikas Chametz Ketikuna. And if you miss that window of time, you lost it. So that you're never going to be able to get back that mitzvah. Mashenken, Krishma, and Arvis you could do all night, or at least till Chatzos. You're not Navardian. As long as you do Krishma before Chatzos Alayla, you're good. So therefore,
we have until the Shachar.
yeah, but
Oh,
we try to do it before Chatzos.
Okay.
So, but b'dikas chametz, you only have a small window. You can do it all night, but to do it properly is only by tzei sakacham. Therefore, the Alter Rebbe says you should do b'dikas chametz first. However, the Alter Rebbe continues. There's a few exceptions. There's a 5-6 exceptions. One of the exceptions is a person that usually davens with the minyan today didn't daven with the minyan. So he says, the Alter Rebbe says b'dikas chametz could end up taking very long. The Alter Rebbe doesn't know that b'dikas chametz is a ceremony. No one told him about it. He thought that b'dikas chametz is a real thing. You're checking for chametz. So sekendach zayin that it'll take a very long time, and then by the time a person will finish, he'll be exhausted and he'll forget that he didn't say Krish and Maariv, and he'll go to bed and he'll miss it. So therefore, because it's such a chashash, therefore you should do Maariv first. Oh, therefore the Morgan Avraham had gesagt. Someone might tell me, so he's also talking about a yochid here, that I have that chashash. It's a klape that chashash. The Morgan Avraham said, but that's a chashash only applies by b'dikas chametz. But Ne'er Hanukkah, which takes but a short time, it takes what 2-3 minutes to light. 2-3 minutes. Even if you're going to sit there like a Lubavitcher, so how it's 30 minutes. It's a zman kotz. B'dikas chametz can end up taking a few hours. So therefore, klap, that's what the Magen Avraham meant. Mishal ispal Maariv mad lekodim dein tzorich zman kolkach. That doesn't need so much time. So don't tell me that you're scared that you're going to be v'leka lamecha shema yishkach Maariv. That's what he meant. Not that was the yisoid of his din. That wasn't the yisoid of his din. So that's I'm surprised. The Mishnah Berurah says no, you should have Maariv first. Why? Because the Shev Yaakov says that way. So why would he go against the Magen Avraham? Is much more a strong posek. Magen Avraham we follow all the time. We know the Alter Rebbe is. The Shev Yaakov is a nice guy, but and now so I printed out the Shuv and the Shev Yaakov today. Okay, everything is available azoi. So I printed out the Shuv of the Shev Yaakov. I have an order on every line. Like first of all, it's clear that he didn't understand what the Magen Avraham said. Pasha didn't understand. He says, like, I don't understand. He says, because it's a reason to do Ner Chanukah first, because Ner Chanukah is only a short mitzvah. He says, that's Chinese to me. Yes, Chinese to you, because you don't understand what the Magen Avraham is saying. That's not what the Magen Avraham is saying. The Magen Avraham is saying,
what is he saying?
He's saying that the mitzvah of Ner Chanukah is a mitzvah that's only a half hour, according to most opinions. By the time the schleppna leg in agarpu, and you're going to wash your hands and take a siddur, and you're going to take your car and go to Landau's. By the time you come back home, is abavadai, you missed the zman of lighting the menorah, according to many opinions. You missed it. Okay, so now you're going to go with the other opinions. But you missed the zman of adlokas ner Chanukah. So therefore, it's a mitzvah veres. When do we say toder v'shene toder? The rice that Rabbanon, if they're both efshel l'kaim shneim, but you're going to miss this mitzvah. That's what the Magen Avraham said. He didn't say it because he thought that you'll understand that. The Magen Avraham thought it's a chamataina. You're going to say just like by b'dikas chametz. We say that if you're biyochid, you should do b'dikas chametz first, because I'm scared that you're going to end up spending 3-4 hours of b'dikas chametz and you'll miss Maariv altogether. He says, but Menorah, it's a short thing, so do the Menorah first. He didn't understand what the Magen Avraham said. How can he slug him up when he doesn't understand what the Magen Avraham is saying? And then every one of his tinus,
figure out that he doesn't understand.
He said that. He said, I don't understand what the Magen Avraham is saying. Okay. So if you don't understand, how can you slug him up? Okay. I'll tell you what the Magen Avraham meant. What the Magen Avraham meant very simple. That according to most opinions, there's a Kamei Chatzi Shah from Shkiyas Achama, there's a half hour. Business schlepp in the gartel, business you start having a Maariv, business schlepp in the hair, you're going to lose that half hour. So do Ner Chanukah first. By b'dikas chametz, we said daven Maariv. No, because b'dikas chametz could take 3-4 hours. Mashenki Ner Chanukah takes 2 minutes, and even if you want to sit for a half hour at the candles, so the Bamela, I think how you could slug up a Magen Avraham like this.
How long should we sit?
Sit there for a half hour. Okay. And what's the raya? That the Shav, one line, there's 3 lines of Shev Yaakov.
Thing before it says that half an hour before it says
if we talk, that's if the person asked you the shaila, the second it hits say sakechavim. If the person asks you the shaila 10 minutes into say sakechavim, so now there's a 20-minute window. Or the time gets the according to the Manda Omer that's Kamoichatzi Shah, it's a very strong mitzvah veres. The Bach says that even the Rishonim that argued, and by Bedikas Chomens, they didn't think it was they thought mitzvah kol alayla and you could do Maariv. We don't pass in that way, but the Hanukkah is worse because a window of a half hour.
No,
One thing he said that's very good.
It started at half an hour according to
As I
those Koiskim.
Depends. If that's a half hour starts, if you hold Shkiyas Achama like Chabad, it's 4:31. If you hold the other two, Tchilus Shkiyas Shniya, Rishon, whatever, it's whenever it is.
So the Lechatchila has to be according to all the days. So even if you do it right away, right after the Shkia, so you
According to Magen Avraham, it's by Tzeis HaKechavim. Magen Avraham went with a different Tzeis HaKechavim, by the way. He went with the Rabbeinu Tam Tzeis HaKechavim. But if you put the Magen Avraham into our Tzeis HaKechavim, so whatever. So it's about 42 minutes after. So it's today it's 4:31. So it's 5:15.
that you have to start.
That according to the Magen Avraham, that's this time we start. And a half hour later is when it's all over.
Okay, so the same way that you want to be yoitz all the days, that's why you wouldn't have a Maariv, and that's why you start 4:30. Do you have to go until 5:15, 5:45 from 4:30?
Yeah, that's what I said before. That's what the Rebbe writes. That's why we put Shem at 50 minutes, because we're trying to accommodate all the shittas. If we only went with the first shitta, we'd put Shemin for half hour. That's what.
But if you start at the
later,
no, if you start at the 4:31,
you should have more than 50 minutes.
Yeah,
okay, so that's why Rabbi Brown has a big pilpul about this. I don't know.
It's better to do it around 4:30.
Yeah, sure, 100%. You should do it.
So maybe an hour.
All Jews.
All going to last over an hour anyway.
Is there a different shkia for different Jews?
Said the Chabad thing is to go 50 minutes.
Different say, so different.
5-0.
Here, all the Jews.
If you want to put a little more oil, today olive oil is not that expensive. You could put enough oil that will light till Alois Hashachar. You know that?
Let's say
It costs you maybe another 99 cents on the whole Hanukkah. That's if you buy your oil of English. If you buy it at Costco, it'll be 59 cents extra for the whole Hanukkah.
Silly question. Shkia is the same for all Jews in the same location? Or it's different for the Rabbeinu Tam Jews?
It's not a silly question. It's such a good question that we'll sit till the night to answer this question. But what you need to know is that according to the Alter Rebbe, and Shkia means that when the sun is when the sun sets. That's it.
Okay.
Sun sets.
Okay.
By the way, he has one beautiful word in his Tshuva. Daka, one thing that is a beautiful word. He says that you have to sit at the candles for half hour. No, besides Menek Chabad, no one ever heard of such a thing. And he says it with Yiddish. He says why? Because in the Nusach Hadlok we say Ein lon rushus lishtamish bohem ela leroisim belvad. Mash shekol zman she'ein lon rushus lishtamish bohem mitzvah leroisim belvad. So he says araya from the Nusach that you're supposed to sit and watch the candles. Now, besides Chabad, I've never heard anyone have this minhag, but he thinks that it's befeidish adin, and it's in the Nusach of the Alanis. We know from the Frierdiker Rebbe that you should look at the candles because the candles are telling you stories. For us, there's a whole romance with the candles. They're telling us a story, and the Rebbe said you should learn. You should learn Torah, Lashkechem Teresecha. You should learn Torah next to the Neirach Hanukkah, which obviously to us means Mizalern and Asicha or a Maimer or a Torah Oir. We should learn. You're supposed to learn with your wife for a half hour.
With the wife, yeah. Okay.
Or with your children. Who else are you going to?
Okay.
She's not allowed to work.
She's anyway not allowed to work. So
So
if you don't want to, unless you want to do the laundry, the Vishas Maisa, so you could sit and learn with her Tanya, look at the Torah Oir, Sicha, download a shir from Rabbi Manas Friedman, and listen together about the shir. It's geschmack. It has to be a lichtige chassidus, a geschmack Indian that you have to learn by the candles. But
rather than just staring at it without your glasses, stare for a little bit, 15 minutes, and then learn for 15 or something.
Yeah, okay. Whatever works for you.
Tehillim is good too.
No, the Rebbe says that you should learn Torah. The Rebbe says you should learn Torah.
Okay.
Don't worry. If you say Tehillim is also good.
So the half an hour, that window is to start or has to be lighting at that half an hour?
Lo ma'achrim lo magdimin. And so he thinks that lo ma'achrim lo magdimin is a mitzvah and a mufcher. But I read in Shulchan Aruch, and then he says ma'achrim lo magdimin is the Gemara talk about Hilchos Shabbos. And only the Rambam holds it's the Hanukkah. I don't care your pilpul. The Shulchan Aruch here paskin. Not only the Rambam, the Shulchan Aruch says, "Ein madlikin ner Chanukah kodem shtekach el mishkiyos loy ma'achrim v'loy magdim." Shulchan Aruch says it. So maybe the Shulchan Aruch thought that the Gemara is talking about Chanukah and Shabbos together, or maybe this one. I don't care. The Shulchan Aruch says it, and the Shulchan Aruch doesn't say that it's a mitzvah and a moch. He says it as a din. So I think he missed something. He didn't understand what the Magen Avraham is saying. I don't want to spend the time. I have every line that he's saying. Ich verstehe nicht, was sagt. So he didn't understand the Magen Avraham. And the bottom line is that Magen Avraham says it's a very strong thing. It's the same thing like B'dikas Chametz is more than B'dikas Chametz here. And this is exactly what the Magen Avraham is saying. It's more than B'dikas Chametz. So therefore, even if it's already after Tzeisak Kechavim, you have to light the Menorah first, and then you do Ner Chanukah. Not here. You could go to Lando's. You can go to 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. There's every 15 minutes. There's a minyan Maariv. What's the problem? You can go to Daven Maariv later. Yeah. But Ner Chanukah is a mitzvah iveris. So therefore you have to do. And there's a very big chavivus. And we see that the Gemara says that if a person has kiddush hayoyim and he doesn't have enough money, so he has to do Ner Chanukah. Okay, then there is Ner Shabbos and Ner Chanukah. Okay, but between Kiddush and Ner Chanukah, Pirsum and Nisa Odiv, there's an unbelievable thing about Pirsum and Nisa. It's a very important mitzvah. So, summarize. So our first shaila was about eating before. All the poskim hold that it's doime to B'dikas Chametz a half hour before you can't eat, but you're allowed to have Te'ima Be'alma, which is some fruits and maybe even cake more than a kibetza. The Merokeach holds that Chametza Chaviva you shouldn't eat from this month at all, and that Shlachoy the Minik Chabad. Lepoil said, those that are working could be makel to come home late. Second shaila is, if it's already Tzeisak Kechavim, definitely you have to first light the Menorah and then Daven Maariv. Third shaila, someone asked an interesting shaila. So someone asked me, they're sending out the Bochum to do Mivtzoyim. So I just want to make a order close. Going to Mivtzoyim is a different thing. Just like by B'dikas Chametz, for example, if a person, you can't do B'dikas Chametz before you sweep up the floors. It's only a minute. You're supposed to sweep up, mop, sweep, vacuum, whatever. You're supposed to clean up. How you're supposed to find Chametz in the places. You have to clean it first. Okay. So it's a dova poshut b'daiti. If a person comes Tzeisak Kechavim and he didn't finish sweeping up the floors or mopping or vacuuming, they say, okay, let's start b'dika. But you didn't finish vacuuming. Finish vacuuming first. It's not a chison. It's not like saying, oh, I'm an avarian. I'm doing the mitzvah. I'm doing the mitzvah. So what's the difference if I'm standing with a candle made of bracha? But same thing here. If it came this man and I realize I don't have oil, I run to the store to get oil. Am I an avarian? No, I'm doing the mitzvah. I'm getting. What is another yid that doesn't know where the oil is, and I went to run to buy oil for him? What's if there's another yid he doesn't even know he's supposed to light the menorah? So I'm running to tell him to light the menorah. Who comes first? So what's the shaila? I don't know. That's a good shaila. Which comes first? But Lepoil, to go do mivtzoyim before you light the menorah is not a bad thing. I mean, I'm lighting menorah. He's another. Kol Yisrael Arevim Zebazed. I think you have. But still, when the Talmidei Yeshiva finished the mivtzoyim, you can't make a pizza party. You have to go home. You have to go home and light the menorah. However, I'll tell you what.
10 minutes
Talmidei Yeshiva is different because the father could be moitzim. They don't have to make their own. They don't have to have. They're not machuyev menorah. The father could be moitzim. Elamai mehidar mitzvah. He wants to make his own hadlokas. So if you want to make your own hadloka, so gesund hates, but then you can't eat before because you're saying that you're doing hadloka. So you're saying you get outside. But this the question was, he's going to a nursing home and he's going to make a party for them. So what's the din? So I think the din is very posh. If the people there don't know how to make a bracha, which is 9 out of 10 times that's the case, unless you have an old man with ashtikla tamid chochem. So if you have an old man that's a shtickle Talmud Chochem or an old Rebbetzin, so give them the honor and let them make the bracha.
Right.
But if no one's home, so Kol Yisrael Arevim Zebazah, you can make the bracha. Or which more?
They go before it.
They're mechuyev, you're mechuyev. If they don't do the mitzvahs, if you didn't do the mitzvah,
Right.
so you can make the bracha for them.
Yeah.
If they're not, they
You
got
have this in mind, or you're doing it?
you should have in mind that you're dafka not being yoitza.
Yeah.
Now, if you have your own house, you don't have to have such in mind because anyway, you have to. You're mechuyev yah. But if it's a Talmud yeshiva, that could be that Be'etzem, his father's being moitze him, and now he's lighting and he's making a bracha. So it's as if he's declaring that the Shengetal my mitzvah. So you have in mind the fetish that I'm not being yoitza. I'm not being yoitza. I'm not being yoitza. I'm lighting it for them. And since they can't make the bracha, Kol Yisrael Arevim Zebazah, so I'm making the bracha for them.
But if it's
This is the chadin. If another yid didn't put on film, it's as if I didn't put on film. Some people don't realize it's an unbelievable thing. Kol Yisrael Arevim Zebazah. So I'm allowed to make the bracha because I didn't put on film yet. If there's one yid that didn't put on film, there's one yid that didn't like the Menorah. So, as you saw last in the video, the year that Rebbe started the campaign. So the shliach in Florida said that he wrote I think that first it was like they needed to get Menorah as much as they could. Mr. Cooperstein, so 11 Lange Yoren, had a factory, and he made for the Rebbe 80,000 Menorahs.
Oh, wow.
And he got a beautiful bracha from the Rebbe. His house is not for sale. If anyone wants to buy the house, Beis Menachem Mendel will take it off your hands. It's an unbelievable house. It belonged to Eleanor Roosevelt.
How much is it?
They put it on the market originally for $3 million. I think they're down already to 2.2, and there are no takers.
Where's
It's that house at the end. It looks like an interesting house.
What's the address?
Eleanor Roosevelt?
Yeah.
It belonged to Eleanor Roosevelt, and he didn't know if he should buy it. I don't know. I have no details. I'm telling you what Mr. Cooperstein told me.
to raise the funds. He said, like, we want to make a shul in the place that whatever and keep.
When the
certain
price
things,
will dip
whatever.
under $2 million, the house.
199, 99, and 99 cents.
When they get there, that's when Beis Menachem Mendel will. The Weiler, they still have Chalomis, Chazionis, and Demyonis. The house a junk house. The house wasn't fixed up since Eleanor Roosevelt bought it. Not when she moved out of it. When she bought it. I mean, that house.
It's a piece of history.
It's a piece of history, but it's a piece of
You
garbage.
might be able to get some money from the state and the federal government.
No,
'cause it's
No
a
way.
historical house.
You don't want to make
Maybe
it.
for the lawyers that you spoke.
It doesn't have any status as of now, Baruch Hashem.
Okay.
Maybe all the lawyers
As soon as
that
we
you
get
spoke to
status,
last
the
year.
house will be worth it. And
Only sparse.
so
Maybe all the lawyers that you spoke to last year in the thing. Maybe these guys could give the money to preserve the.
Think about it.
those goyim,
Yeah.
those right-wing goyim. Okay,
You
who
can
knows?
think about it.
Where's
So,
that? He's 17.
It's the last house over here. It's an interesting looking house.
He's 17 to 9.
It's the sun.
Go across the street, walk till the end.
Where then?
There's a long
Yeah.
house, white house.
On the other on the side,
he-
he
He did a run for that. He did a special run for Lubavitch, 80,000 Menorahs. That ever gave him unbelievable
What's
bracha.
his name? What's the guy's name?
Mr. Cooperstein.
Cooperstein.
His wife passed away 2 years ago.
He was-
Kids,
he was
put him in an old age home. Now they're selling the house. So
He was around here. He
lives down the block.
He could sign the house for us or something.
The house
Go
is
to
down
visit
the
them.
block. He's
Yeah.
Talk to the kids.
Nice guy.
You spoke to the kids.
He was a kid when the Nazis came to Budapest. He had a lot of memories. He was a yid that's a durchgelitten, but he came to America. He was very successful. So anyway, the Rebbe. So they thought.
Business and just had a factory making just different metal things.
Yeah. Factory make metal things. I go into his house now. Oh, the guy is a collector.
Oh, yeah.
Every shtickle junk that's not even worth 99 cents today is sitting. He has a warehouse to fregnish. So
warehouse in the house. There's a warehouse in the house.
yeah.
A showcase.
So
Is that something he did as tzedakah, the 80,000 Menorahs, or they're already
yeah,
paying for it?
I think he did as a tzedakah.
Wow.
And he told me that he had a relationship years with the Rebbe. So he wanted to do a certain business, and he went to a few Choshev Rebbes, and they gave him brachas, and they said that he went to the Rebbe, and he was sure the Rebbe was going to give him a bracha. The Rebbe always used to give him brachas, Maybe when he wanted to buy the house, his mother-in-law said, if you're going to buy the house, I'm going to jump out of the window. The Rebbe said, don't worry, buy the house. So the Rebbe said, I forget his first name, Shmuel, this business is not for you.
The Rebbe
told him, this business is not. He said, from all the Rebbes, who said, give a bracha, they give you a bracha. The Rebbe told him, Shmuel, this business is not for you. What business? He didn't tell me what the business was. He told me the story many, many times.
It's none of your business, apparently.
This business,
so obviously he didn't go into the business. The Rebbe
he didn't. And he said he was lucky he didn't. But he says, the Rebbe told him, Shmuel, this is not for you. But I guess the tin menorah was for him. And everyone thought that they would be so excited. So the shliach in Florida tells the Rebbe in a duch that he gave out 4,000 menorahs.
44.
And the Rebbe wrote back, what's with the other 40,000 Jews? What's with the other 40? So as long as there's one Yid that didn't like the menorah, I didn't like the menorah. So I can make a bracha for them. But if it's a Talmud Yeshiva, there's a shayla, maybe his father was in Moitzim, and maybe not. Okay, so you should just have in mind that I'm not being I'm doing it for them. Maybe shall help and taka. We should get every Yid to light the menorah. The Gemara says, the Rebbe is a big koch. Then what does it mean? That we have to light the menorah until we get rid of the choshech hagolus. The Gemara in Yavamas Design says that there was Avdei Shloime, they were murdered against them, and they were the Talmudoi. They were murdered by Oil Malchus Shemayim. And we have to get rid of the Merida B'Malchus and the Eibishter, even the Rigla, even their feet, get rid of them in Ganzen. And that's what the schus of the Chanukah Befrat, we do it with the way that Rebbe wants us to do it, that we're not only doing it for ourselves, but that we share the whole Yom Tov with a Yid that doesn't yet know about this. So we should be zoich in the schus of the Menorah. We should see the Menorah in the Beis Hamikdash.
The 50 minutes could be the practical that you just said. Takes 10 minutes to prepare for the Menorah, and then you light. This is like sweeping the house for
No, but still, a person that be'emes does it in time, and the Chabad, the Taka, they're doing it on time. So if you do Taka on time, someone could say 50 minutes is not enough to be made all the shittas. Because it seems from the Rebbe's mashma kilo a little bit that the reason that the Rebbeim puts oil for 50 minutes is kilo b'yoytza all the shit. Those are the Rebbe's words. The words is because there's two shit, there's 4 ma'atama. Anyway, look.
But if you add the first 10 minutes to prepare, which is part of the mitzvah, similar to the
but doesn't matter.
Even have 50 minutes with 30 minutes after the
That's if, but Lepoil Chabad is there, makbid started on time. I mean, I don't know why. I'm sure that Rebbe did.
I always heard that 10 minutes after the Kohen, so it becomes 50 and 30 minutes after the
The Rebbe said, you saw yesterday the video? The Rebbe said, Mishet Shokah Chama. The Cham is noch da, it's the matzah for Shkia. That means, and I told, when you weren't here at the beginning of the Shir, the Rebbe said in Tov Shalom Ates that when du mefsoim, she convinced the Yidden that they should light the Menorah, mamish mishet the Shaka Cham, it's noch richtig. We should do it to the Menorah in the Beis HaMikdash. Why can't we do it before Shet the Shaka Chama? Because Shiragim Atira Maya Hani. No, I think Chabad is Madayik to start Mamish b'Shkir Tzacham.
Tonight is Shir?
Yes. In Mitzvah Shem tonight, Rabbi say we're going to learn, and hopefully with some jelly donuts, we're going to learn Shemas HaMenorah. The Rebbe wrote wonderful, a book, 150 pages. You hear this?
And Maariv will be 9:30?
No, it might have been 9:30. So tonight in Mitzvah Shem, Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Sunday night, we're going to plow away at the Shemas HaMenorah. The Rebbe left in his desk. It's the most unbelievable thing. A kuntris about all the shit that's in the Menorah. So if you have time and you can come tonight, how wasn't the Beis Hamikdash? The Frierdiker Rebbe told him to do it, and he did it.
No,
but it's a
what to do with Hanukkah exactly.
We'll figure out.
What were you saying about tonight?
The Rebbe wrote 1939 in Paris. He wrote a book.
Okay.
It's 150 pages.
Okay.
About how the avodah and the Menorah went.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The technical details.
Here, I'll show you. It's unbelievable. And the Rebbe had these. The Rebbe even, and we're going to do it Sunday night, Monday.
The first one I put on.
Special for you. We're going to blina that we'll have some jelly donuts. If you tell me you're coming, I'll save one.
Also, why they light the menorah in 70 at 3:30?
They're because they want people to go home. They wait for the minute of Plag Mincha, and they light the menorah.
I will be happy to bring some jelly donuts.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gussie. Hold on, you see, we got the jelly donuts.
Now you have to come.
Now you have to come.
Keep your eye on the road, not on the donuts.
Don't worry, I'll come for the shortem.
Yeah.
You see some of the Rebbeinu Shloim is my driver.
So somebody's not going to come
Here,
home.
look at this. This is the Rebbe wrote. This is the Rebbe's notebook. It's unbelievable. Look how tiny the Rebbe had these nice squiggles over here. Look how the Rebbe wrote. Beis HaMikdash. Look at the kuf of the Beis HaMikdash. Look at this. Look at the kuf of the Beis HaMikdash.
Let me see.
To cook?
Yeah. Look how the Rebbe, like, you know, squiggle.
Yeah.
Shittis, Pirisha, Mishnais, Lanamba, Bechilchis, Beis HaBchil, Beis HaMikdash.
Wow.
Look how tiny the words are.
Yeah.
But it was all on the margin. All on the margin.
The Rebbe wrote this himself.
Yeah.
Wow.
But from top to bottom, no paper is wasted.
Okay, very neat.
But on the margin, look at this. On the margin, but look from the top to the bottom.
I wonder if he had any type of line like you have in Sefer Torah, you know. You don't talk about it like
No, he used the notebook because he wanted to.
And the headline.
You see the headlines of both sides.
Paper.
Yeah.
What's in the book? What's in there?
You see what kind of paper the Rebbe used?
It's accounting paper.
Yeah.
Technical paper.
Yeah. Because the Rebbe liked it.
Because it's
What it tells you how the menorah was made in the basement.
And not how it's made, how it's lit, which candle is first and which is second, what's adlocka and what's adlova, and how it's lit.
Both
Yeah. The same thing for second missing. It's part of that void.
Yeah, and
what's in there? It's all the technical details of what?
A half of it is the technical, and the other half is avodas Hashem and Kabbalah.
they went to menorah at night.
You didn't forget. You don't know to begin with.
Okay. I heard
There's a lot of shittis about it.
Oh yeah.
So when they lit it,
if they lit at night and in the morning,
maybe they did it twice a day, and maybe they did once, and maybe they did once the whole menorah, and the second time they did only one candle, or maybe the second time they did two candles. And which candle? You'll come tonight?
Sorry.
At least Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday will come. Good.
What we say the husband and wife should learn? What's a good anything or
anything? A recommendation from Rabbi Manas Friedman. Something nice from Rabbi Manas Friedman.
But if a bracha is in the sorry,
ask his son. I'll tell you what's a good.
If a bracha is sorry and his father light at the right time, he could be thinking like this: I'm going to be yoitzer with my father only if the shitas that are supposed to be like that. And when I come home, I light myself just in case other shitas are also good, but I'm not going to say the bracha. When lichayra makes sense, no?
The Rabbanon yesh breira. It's the mitzvah the Rabbanon.
Another thing is like if somebody is going to come home at 11:30 at night, but he has a chance to light right at Plaga Mincha, that it should be long until the night. Shouldn't do that.
Because later poets can say if you do by Plaga Mincha as a shayla, if you can make the bracha. I would say the menzach. A person has a flight to catch. Yeah. A person has a flight to catch. Yeah.
I once had a problem like that. It came from Argentina. So the plane was before Plaga Mincha. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I have to be there and summon.
All right, so that's a problem.
So I stopped in Brazil. In Brazil, we sat like for an hour and a half. So the people that came from Brazil to come to New York, the Eden, so they came into the plane. They already did it at home, and then they came to the plane. But the Eden came from Argentina. We needed to do something. So we found a place, and everybody lit their menorahs, and there was a svara. Maybe there was stays there, a place that you could rent for an hour, per hour, like a hotel to sleep. So we were thinking even to do such a thing.
You lose the mitzvah.
Yeah. But that was the only way.
Yeah.
And plain we couldn't. And even there, they didn't like. We had to put it was like a whole group of people that were coming here, boys and girls, to be like Rebbe. So we had to make everybody surrounded the place where I lit the menorah. So like this, the workers couldn't see, and couldn't tell us.